Okay, so much to catch you guys up on. Our oldest son, Josh, who is 4 years old, was born with some birth defects that I'll tell you all about. I've never shared about this publicly for a couple of reasons. The biggest one is I never wanted anyone to look at Josh any differently and just think of his birth defects when they saw him. It also felt a lot more manageable and less stressful if we kept it really small and just between like our family and friends. In the beginning, it was so exhausting, like keeping everyone updated on everything. So keeping it small was the way to go for us. I want to share it now because it's really such an inspiring story and journey for our family. And it's such an important part of our family and a part of me and Josh. So I want to go through and just share what we've been through. It's going to sound like a lot of bad going into it, but looking back now, everything is totally fine. Everything he has is really fixable, and it's so inspiring what we've overcome and done as a family. So I hope this story, and it is quite the story, I hope that it inspires you and it makes you feel grateful for what you have and makes you feel like it's the best to just choose joy and enjoy life. We found out about his birth defects at the 20-week ultrasound where you go in for the anatomy scan, and we were so excited leading into it because it's the one where you find out the gender, and we really wanted it to be a boy, and we found out it was a boy. So excited. Then it really went downhill from there. The tech was spending so much time looking at his legs and his feet, like 45 minutes, and she wasn't saying anything. The room was silent, and the longer it was taking, the more I was like freaking out because I'm like, and I couldn't even tell what it was. I was looking at the scan and I'm like, I see legs, I see feet, like what could it be? Like your mind goes crazy. So then I finally got brave and asked her, and I was like, is something wrong? And the tech was like, I can't say, I'm not allowed to say. And I'm like, oh, what the freaking out. So then we're done. I can barely breathe. I'm freaking out so much. And she's like, you'll be getting a call soon with the results. And I'm like, oh, like, so we leave having absolutely no idea what's going on. So 2 or 3 hours later, which were like the worst 2 or 3 hours of my life, we get a call from our doctor, and she says that Josh has club feet. Never heard of club feet. Don't know what this is. Sounds crazy. So she explains that it just means that his feet are turned the wrong way and that it's very fixable. And so then I'm just like, can barely even take in what she's saying. And I'm like, okay. So then I Google it. Do not Google it. It looks horrible. But what it is it means that his feet were turned the wrong way. So instead of him walking, like his foot being flat like this, it was like turned. So he would have, if we didn't fix it, he'd be walking like on the edges of his feet. The bones grew the wrong way. It kind of looks like flippers, like fins, but very fixable. You fix it similar to how you fix crooked teeth. So when your teeth are crooked, you get braces and then you keep them in place with a retainer. But with club feet, you slowly turn the bones the right way using casts, like plaster casts that are on his legs. So you change them every week, and each time they bend it a little more and a little more, and then you train the bone to go the right way. At the end, they do a surgery called a tenotomy, where they cut the Achilles tendon on both sides, and then they push the bone so that the heel drops into the right place. Then they wear a cast for 3 weeks while that heals, and then the Achilles lengthens, and then it's all done, and you're good to go. And I did a ton of research, and the hospital where we were, our insurance had a doctor who was like board certified to fix it. So I was like, oh, we're fine. We totally got this. But then they also said scary things, that club feet can also be related to other birth defects like cerebral palsy or spina bifida, and that we wouldn't be able to rule those out until after he was born. So I'm like, you guys, like devastated, so freaked out that something way serious is wrong with my baby. It was just the worst feeling in the world. And just another added thing that made my pregnancy so nuts with Josh My water broke 8 weeks early. And it was funny, it happened when I was at my 32-week doctor's appointment. I started leaking and she checked and she's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's your amniotic fluid. So your water just broke. So we're gonna send you to the hospital. You'll be on hospital bed rest until you get to 34 weeks and then you'll have the baby and he'll be just fine. You're gonna be fine. She said it just like that. I'm like, my water just broke? I don't have a diaper. I haven't bought anything. My baby shower was supposed to be that weekend. I didn't have one baby thing, like nothing. And I was just like, oh my, everything felt so crazy and out of control. But we did what she explained. We had to go to the hospital and they checked me in and I had to be on hospital bed rest and really closely monitored until I got to 34 weeks. They do that because then the baby's lungs are more developed and they have a much better chance of being extra healthy after they're born with developed lungs. After that, any longer, and the risk of infection is too great to wait any longer. So the longest they would let me go was 34 weeks. And luckily, I never went into labor. It was an absolute miracle. I made it to 34 weeks. But the whole time, you guys, losing my mind. Like, anxiety completely out of control. Because I just want to paint a picture like how nuts this is. I have been freaking out the past like 3 months thinking my baby has all these additional birth defects. Now my water broke, worried the baby's gonna die, that there's not enough fluid. I'm chugging like 3 gallons of water a day to keep like replenishing my fluids. I'm leaking the whole time. Banana, like so nuts. But there was a lot of good too. Like Sean is the best husband in the world. He stayed at the hospital with me. He slept in that horribly uncomfortable hospital chair every single night for 15 days. And then afterwards for like our NICU stay and everything. And it just like bonded us so much. And even though everything was so scary, we were like each other's like anchor through all of it. So there's always good with the bad. So I had Josh via C-section because when my water broke, he was still feet down and there wasn't enough fluid in there for him to flip around. So I had to have a C-section and he was born, he needed a little breathing assistance in the beginning. We were in the NICU for 9 days, which is a whole other aspect of that wasn't fun in the beginning. It's just not how you picture it. You just want to be with your baby, but it's hard when you have to be separated and you can't hold them all the time. They have to be in that little incubator thing. But otherwise, he was healthy. He just had the club feet. So I was so relieved that he didn't have any of the other birth defects that they warned us about. So we were there for 9 days and then we headed home as a family. We were in the hospital for like almost a month. So it was the best when we got to go home. We got to come home from the hospital on Thanksgiving Day. It was the best day. I felt like I had so much to be thankful for. I was like, Josh just has the club feet. We can totally fix that. You know, we're gonna be okay. Like, we all survived this. It was just such a crazy time. So then 4 days later, when Josh was 13 days old, we started correcting his club feet. So we had to go into the doctor once a week to get new casts put on, and then we would go back a week later to get that cast cut off and then a new one put on. But I just kind of want to paint a picture of how like insane this time was. So I'm a brand new mom, never had a baby before. So like all the craziness of having a baby for the first time. On top of that, I'm like still like mentally traumatized from my water breaking early, being in the hospital, being terrified my baby's gonna die, constantly thinking he has all these other birth defects that we can't rule out. Then it's like he's a preemie, so you have to be really careful not to get preemie sick. And it was December, like cold and flu season. I had to take him to the hospital once a week. I was so scared he was gonna get sick and die. And then it was like he had to keep getting these casts that are bending his bones and he would be in so much pain and he couldn't like lift his legs because he has these huge casts on all the way up to like his thigh, like to his butt. They go all the way up. I can't put him in regular baby clothes. He can't wear like pants or anything. I can't even give my baby a bath. Oh my God, like makes me want to cry. It was a really hard time. So we go in and we get his last cast cut off after his surgery where they cut his Achilles tendon. So he'd had his last set of casts on for 3 weeks. We go in, I'm so excited. I'm like, we're gonna be done. I can give my baby a bath. Like people won't be staring at me when we go to the store and asking me like, what'd you do to your baby? I was just so excited to have him out of the cast. So we go in, we get the cast off, and then once the casts are off, you have to wear, it's called boots and bar. It kind of looks like a snowboard and has shoes on it, and the babies wear it like 23 hours a day in the beginning. It's like the retainer when you get your braces off. So you wear the boots and bar to keep your feet from going back in. So we go in, get on his boots and bar. He hates it. He is screaming for like 2 days straight. They get like little blisters, like as their baby skin that's been in a cast for months is finally loose. But you have to wear these tight leather shoes. So sad. So then as I'm looking, I mean, this part of the story gets so long, but basically the correction that we did was not right. His feet were not correct, which was devastating because it felt like all that time was for nothing, like putting him through all of that. His heel bone wasn't dropped enough and his feet weren't turned enough. And the biggest thing during that time was just learning to find my voice and advocate for Josh, because I would talk to his doctor and be like, this isn't right. I know this isn't right. And he'd be like, no, it's fine. It'll fix itself. I'm like, it's going to fix itself. Like, I know you have to fix it with casts. And it was just hard standing up to people who are supposed to be experts and get them to listen that it wasn't right. So what I ended up doing was getting more opinions from other doctors, and they agreed that it wasn't fixed enough. So then we decided to go through the whole thing again, start from the beginning. So we have to get casts all over again, another surgery. So we basically get to where he's 1 year old and he's been in either full leg casts or boots and bar, and his legs still aren't like correct. And he's still not even close to walking. And it was so hard. So the biggest doctor who fixes this, his name is Dr. Dobbs, and he lives in St. Louis, and he's like the actual best in the entire world. And I wanted to go see him so bad, but our insurance didn't cover it. We'd have to pay out of pocket. But by the time Josh is 1, Sean and I both agreed, it's like, we need to get him fixed. So I went out for an appointment and loved Dr. Dobbs so much, had so much confidence in him. So we decided to get Josh fixed with him, which meant that Josh and I and my sister came. My sister's an angel. Me and Josh, who was 14 months old at the time, and my sister go to St. Louis for an entire month in January in the winter while Josh gets fixed for the 3rd time. But in the end, we got the cast off, and for the first time, his feet were, I could see. I'm like, that is how they're supposed to be. It was the best feeling in the entire world. I was like, oh, finally, like, we're on the right track. It took us like almost a year and a half to get here, but we're doing it. And so we went home, we did a ton of physical therapy, and when Josh was 22 months old, he took his first steps. You have never seen 2 parents more excited that their baby started walking. And we had to work so hard for it, and we did it. It was like, life is good. So fast forward to this round of correction and what this is about. So as Josh got older, I noticed that his gait was always off. He didn't walk with like bending his knees at a 90-degree angle. They would like egg beater around. It was actually really cute. But as he got older, I was just wondering, I was like, I feel like that's something we should correct. And I always assumed it had to do with his feet. So I made an appointment with a physical therapist, and we went in and saw her. I just wanted to learn exercises to help him out. And he was also really clumsy. He fell like 50 to 100 times a day. And sometimes he would just be standing still and his legs would buckle and he'd fall down. We always joke that he was like Bambi when he goes on the ice. He would just slip and fall all the time. I just thought he was a kid. He's still like my first kid. I was like, oh yeah, kids fall all the time. Apparently not this much. So we go into the physical therapist, and she was the first person to notice as she was examining him. She was like, where are his kneecaps? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like his kneecaps? And she's like, his kneecaps aren't there. And I was like, what? And she showed me like as he bends his knee, there would be like, you could poke right in between the bones. He didn't have a kneecap there. So crazy that I never even noticed it. But once she pointed it out, I was like, oh my God, how have I never noticed that? So it started a whole chain of events. So I made an appointment with one of the orthopedists in Network 1, and he was like, I have never seen this. This is crazy. Like his bones were kind of turned the wrong way too in his legs because the kneecap wasn't holding it in place. So you know me, I got so many opinions. I went to like probably 8 different doctors all around the Bay Area. All of them agreed that this was a problem, but none of them had ever done a surgery on a kid Josh's age for this. Some of them had never even done the surgery at all. And there's you have to be careful because the kneecap is so close to the growth plate in the leg that if you make a mistake there, like his legs won't grow and all of this really like scary stuff. So it's like, well, we can't gamble. So we went and saw Dr. Dobbs, our doctor in St. Louis again. And he's like, yes, it's called patellar dislocation. And it just means that when Josh bends his knee, the knee like travels up like into his like thigh in the wrong spot. And that's why he was falling so much, because he had no stability. So anytime he was falling, it was actually like his legs dislocating. It didn't hurt him. He wasn't in pain. Definitely something you want to correct. And the best part is Dr. Dobbs says that he does a surgery on a kid Josh's age once a month. And I was like, oh, such a no-brainer to go with him. But it meant having to pay out of pocket again. But I mean, when it comes to your kid, you're like, there's no price that I'm not going to pay. There's families who fly. Like the last time you were there was a family from China who had flown all the way to St. Louis just to see Dr. Dobbs. It's like, you want to have the best. So we went ahead and decided to book the surgery. So we went ahead and booked the surgery. We booked it back in August, and we decided to do it for January because that way we could have all the holiday fun. Josh wouldn't have to miss like the beginning of the school year for preschool. And it's like in January, it's so cold and rainy anyways. We knew that we would just be inside a ton, so why not do it when we're already gonna be inside a ton? So what the surgery was gonna do is Dr. Dobbs is gonna put his kneecap in the right spot, and then he does a tendon transfer that like anchors the kneecap to the right spot, but he also had to like cut Josh's thigh muscles and move them a little bit so that it'll anchor the kneecap and keep it in the right spot. And then when the surgery was done, Josh would have to be in full leg casts for like 3 or 4 weeks. And so going into that, it was like, wow, this is gonna be it's a whole different ball game when it's a 4-year-old versus like a newborn in cast. I mean, he's a big kid with tons of energy, and I was like, oh, it's just gonna make him so sad to be in cast that long and have the surgery. But I knew that we could do it together and try to make it really fun. And I try to just focus on how lucky we were that we can get Josh fixed up. So I kept our family on quarantine for like 3 weeks before the surgery. So pretty much we hadn't left the house since New Year's. And Sean, Josh, and I flew out to St. Louis on Sunday, so 9 days ago. I even had us wear like a medical mask on the airplane so none of us would get sick, because if you get sick, you have to reschedule the surgery. We left Ryan with my mom, who is an angel. She watched him the whole time, and I was so sad leaving him for that many days. But I wanted to just be able to give all of the attention to Josh, and I feel like Ryan's even better taken care of when he's with my mom. He gets like loved on so much. We went in for the surgery. Luckily, the surgery went so great. We were in such good hands, but as you can imagine, it is the most insane roller coaster of emotions. Leading into it, you know, we have to explain to Josh this time because now he's older and he'll understand about what's going to be happening. So we told him that he's going to get super knees, and they are going to make him as fast as a superhero. He's really into like Iron Man and Captain America. So we're like, you're going to be as fast as Captain America, and it's going to be so neat. And afterwards, you're going to get casts, and it's going to hold your legs so still while your super knees heal, and you get to pick out the color of the casts. And afterwards, you're going to get a really cool wheelchair that has wheels, and we're going to roll you around. It's going to be so fun. Like, you just try to make it sound really exciting, but in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, I just feel so bad that I have to put him through this. But like, you can't even go there. You just have to tell yourself you're lucky that you get to get your kid all fixed up and just try to look on the bright side. So during the surgery, you know, time never goes slower than when your baby's getting surgery. But luckily the surgery went great. He's had minimal pain. I mean, just what you would expect. He woke up really sad and a lot of pain, really confused why the casts were on, but we talked about it, and you're just staring at your like kid crying, and you just want to like scream because you're so sad, but you just have to put on a happy face and say, it's okay, like, isn't it lucky you're getting fixed? It's your super knees and you're doing so good, we're so proud of you. And we've just been spoiling him with presents, like so many Lego sets, and whatever movie he wants to watch, he can do. And I mean, within 2 hours, he was like laughing, and we were having tons of fun in the hospital while we were there, and we just made it as fun as we could. As scary as all of the lead up to the surgery has felt, it's actually been so fine. And I think that's just because we've been through all this hard stuff before, so we know that it gets easier. It's been really nice to have that kind of perspective. But he's had, I mean, there's been times where he's been in a ton of pain, but mostly he's doing so good. Kids adapt so well, and I think they really go off of the energy that the parents give. And Sean and I have just been like overkill with like, isn't this fun? And aren't we lucky? And what a cool wheelchair. And given him so many presents. Like, he's got like 20 Lego sets, and just spoiling him with tons of attention, and we're making it super fun. So he's in the cast until, so for like 3 weeks total, so we have a little bit more to go, but he'll get his cast off soon, and then we'll get him in physical therapy and get him walking, and the goal is that he'll be totally fixed up this time. Get him walking again soon. The biggest thing that I want to share with you guys is the amazing life lessons that we've grown through all of this. The biggest one is it has brought us so close as a family. Sean and I were joking, like way back when I was on my hospital bed rest, my water broke. Sean and I would joke where the universe was like, oh, you guys want to be parents? Buckle up, because we're slamming you straight into parenthood. But you just take those things that could break you and you just let it make you so much stronger. And we are the most tight-knit family. Sean and I have such good communication. Like, Sean and I have never been stronger. Going through this, it's nice that we've really come together rather than like drifting apart. So it's nice like going through the fire together and coming out the other end better than ever. It's given us such good perspective on life. With all of these hospital visits and hospital stays and doctor's appointments, we see families with issues that are way bigger and way harder, and we just leave them and you just think, wow, we're so lucky. Even though we have our own things we're dealing with, it could be so much worse, and it just makes you really choose the bright side and be glad for what you have. It's also taught me that we don't need a ton of things to be happy. We just need each other and our health, and we're good. And we're just so lucky that we were able to pay for the out-of-network doctor. All of this medical stuff is so crazy expensive. I mean, that's the main reason why we live in such a small house, our 700 square foot house. The amount of money that we've spent on Josh's surgeries and casting and everything is for sure a down payment that we could have used on a house. But what better way to spend our money than getting your kid fixed and walking well and giving him the best chance at life? I would way rather have that than a house. Like, we'll save, we'll get a house again someday, but for now, you know, it's just about your kid. Another bonus one is I now have the toughest skin. It is very difficult to like offend me or hurt my feelings, because I mean, you cannot imagine the things that strangers have walked up to me and said when seeing my baby in like 2 full leg casts. This is how, I can't even tell you how many times someone's walked up and been like, what happened to your son? What happened to your boy? Why is he in casts? Did you drop him? What happened? Oh, you poor, and they'd walk up to me, you poor thing, what'd your mommy do? I'm silly. And at the time, I was so like on the brink of a breakdown at all times, and I'm just out trying to grocery shop and people are saying that, and you just have to be like, you know, that just says so much more about them than it does of me. So now, like, any comment that anyone could ever say, I'm like, oh, that's not, like, I am so good, life is so good, like, you cannot break me down. I have been through so much worse than this. Like, I know where our real foundation is, and it's with us, and you can't chip away at me. I remember when we first found out, I was like, I would give anything to take this away from my baby. Like, I don't want Josh to have to go through any of this. Like, take my legs. You can have my legs. Just don't do this to my baby. But now it's so the opposite. Like, I'm so grateful for everything that we've gone through. It has made Josh, it's such a part of his personality, because he's learned to just be so tough and like roll with the punches and like find joy and get grit at such a young age. Like, he's so adaptable. I think it's going to be a really good quality for him to have going on throughout his whole life. It's so true what they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. At times, it felt like this was going to kill us. Like, it felt like so much. But now, it has made us so strong, and I'm grateful for all of it. I would never want to take any of this away. So now you are completely caught up. I'm always getting comments from people saying like, oh, I love that you're always smiling. I love that you're so upbeat and positive and you're such a ray of sunshine. This is why, because we have been through some stuff and we have come out the other end. I am so happy. I have nothing to complain about. Like, do you know how nice it is just to have like a regular day? It's so nice. I know how nice it is. So that's why I'm just here to be happy. So Josh has a few more weeks in the cast. Sean is home with us. He's off work for all of Josh's recovery, which is amazing. It's so much more fun when he's around. He's like the best energy and like keeps us going. If you think I have good energy, you should know Sean. He's like the best. So we're all home together and I can fully take this time off because all fall and winter long, I worked really far ahead. I'm usually like 1 or 2 weeks ahead with the blog, but by January 1st, I had everything done through the end of February. So like every recipe shot, every recipe demo shot, everything's scheduled out and just totally on cruise control. I just have to like upload stories. But otherwise, I just have all this super fun time to give attention to Josh and Ryan and for Sean and I just to be with our boys and make this such a fun memory for us. Thank you so much for listening to this whole story. It has been so therapeutic talking it out. I mean, you guys are such a big part of my life and it's always felt a little strange that I haven't shared about it yet. But I mean, I wasn't strong enough in the past, but now I'm like as strong as can be, tough as a mother. And I love that I can share it with you guys now and hopefully just really inspire you. I mean, our family can do super hard things. I hope it shows you that you can do hard things too. So thanks in advance for all of your kindness and positivity and well wishes. It means the world. So love you guys.